Hi everyone, and welcome to this Womb Wisdom podcast YouTube episode with Rachael Crow of Moontimes.co.uk. So today we're talking about natural cotton pads. I get asked lots of questions about using them, and especially from people who are just starting to use them, and so I decided to interview Rachael because Rachael is the moon pad queen. I'm going to call you the moon pad queen. So welcome Rachael.
Thanks, Melanie. It's great to be here with you.
So do you want to just set the scene for us and tell us why we might use natural cotton pads?
Okay, well, there's a number of reasons. The first one, which I think for a lot of people is the biggie, is saving money. Although initially there's a bit of a cost outlay, that's it, you bought them, you don't have to run out every month and buy more. So in the long run, you're saving money. They can last for years and years. I mean, I've got pads that I've been using 20 years. They're a bit grotty, but you know, I've got other ones that are 10 years old, not as bad. So they last a long time, and they're kinder to the earth. They're kinder to your body. So we don't know what's in the disposable ones. The companies who make them don't have to declare the ingredients. There was a campaign last year to try and get Always to reveal what was in their pads. Lots of nasty chemicals, carcinogens, things that made you bleed more. So a lot of women were getting switched on because of that campaign and kind of realising they're putting things very close to an intimate part of their body that isn't very good for them. So lots of reasons.
Yeah, and I think it's a great point about the stuff in those pads that make us bleed more. Now, when I switched, I bled less, and every single woman I know who switched from using either tampons or the plastic pads says, "Oh, my periods are shorter."
Yeah.
Oh, what must be in those things that make us bleed more? And it's, I think it's quite scary, to be honest, that those things are on sale wherever we, freely on sale and legal, and we're putting them into our vagina, which is highly absorbent. And, I know that I bled less when I switched, and also I've got cut short a few times. I was travelling in India and I didn't quite get my washing cycle sorted with my reusable pads. And I had to get some plastic ones, and I used them, and I could feel like a dull ache, like the feeling of a very slight bruise in my yoni area, and I was like, what's causing that? And a few hours after I took the pad out and I showered and I went in the sea, it was gone. So it was really having a very direct and quite immediate effect. So I think that's a massive point to make. So if you're watching this and you do bleed a lot, or you feel like, yeah, there is a lot of blood and I kind of feel like I'd like there to be less, just have a go 1 or 2 months, because it works.
Yeah. And the other thing is they're breathable. That's one of the things. Like you, I got caught short once. I was away camping with my daughter and I borrowed a pad, and I couldn't believe how sweaty they felt. I was just like, I couldn't stand it. I actually had to take it off immediately and just use an old flannel, because I was just like, I can't cope with that feeling of this sort of plasticky stuff right next to my skin. So yeah. But that's one of the feedbacks I get from a lot of women, is they have less bleeding, less pain. It helps them deal. They've carried an emotional residue, almost maybe from their mothers or their grandmothers, about the shame of bleeding and having to hide it and throw things away. So it touches women on so many different levels. Just using a cloth pad, it's amazing how different women feel about their bodies and their blood just from switching the products. It's so simple in a way, but very powerful.
Yeah, it is so simple, but I found it very powerful as well. And then when I get into kind of deeper layers of it, it's about really seeing my own blood and touching it and handling it, and it just switching our menstrual products, I feel, helps shift our focus onto being in tune with our cycle, rather than kind of sticking something inside us so we can get on with it.
Yeah.
It really draws, our cycle teaches us and it draws us in. So I think you're doing an awesome job, by the way, just making these pads and plugging away with it, because it's not the biggest market right now. And there's a huge market out there, and every woman can be using these. So I think you're doing a fab job. I just want to say thank you. Can you just expand a little bit more before we go on to the practicalities of using the pads about the relationship to the earth that we have and how using them changes that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was one of the first reasons I started making pads, was because I was using cloth nappies with my daughter, because I was really shocked when I found out disposable nappies take 500 years to decompose. Now, plastic back pads are the same. They take hundreds of years to decompose. So they're all sitting in landfill, still sitting there. They're going to be there for future generations to deal with at some point. So that was my... that was what called me to switch to cloth. But of course, there's an upside to using cloth, where you need to soak your pads in cold water to stop them staining, and that cold water can then be poured on your plants, on your garden. It has an amazing effect. I mean, I used to have a fantastic vegetable patch in the front of my garden in Bristol, and I used to get the old guys on their way up to their allotments asking me what my secret was. And I didn't tell them.
Good.
I didn't want to shock them that much, the weirdo down the road who pours their blood on their veg. But and also there are lots of prophecies, which I've only heard about in the last couple of years, where natives have been saying for many years that women need to bleed on the earth to neutralise the blood of war. And I actually had a visit from a lady a couple of weeks ago who's quite a psychic and talks to the earth, and she'd never met me before, and she started telling me how she's been telling women for 20 years to inoculate the earth with their blood. And I just went, wow, it's just amazing. So for me, the way I wash my pads, I soak them in a jar, and then when I've got that will need washing, I go outside and I actually pour that blood, and I sing. I have a Brook Medicine Eagle song that I sing, and while I kind of give them a bit of a scrub, and while I'm scrubbing them, I really think about the things that I want to release and give to the earth, because the earth composts anything. So I release any of the stuff that's come up that month, any resentments, any angers, or, I let it go with my blood into the earth. And that, it doesn't take long. It's only like 5 minutes. I'm not there for hours. It's like this little mini ritual for me of kind of honouring my blood and giving it to the earth and letting go. And then they go in the washing machine with the rest of the clothes. So, I'm not out there scrubbing and getting them immaculate. They still go in the machine. But yeah, so for me, it's been a real, even when I lived in a city and I was pouring my blood into my pot plants, it was still connecting me with the earth, and I was kind of giving something back to the earth that's a nutrient.
Was that a cockerel in the background, Rachel?
That is my guy. Sorry, my cockerel.
They do like to be included, don't they? They like to know that their presence is known. Hello, cockerel. So I totally get what you mean about that. It's when I lived in the city as well, I would pour my blood on my plants. And I actually told a few friends when they came round who weren't so into that. And I'd got herbs in the dinner that I'd cooked. And these are women who I used to row with. And they said, "You didn't pour it on these plants though, did you?" And I said, "Yeah, on all the plants." And they all looked at their dinner and went, "Oh.
Oh no."
I said, "Well, what is other fertiliser? It's cow shit or fish blood, or you don't know. It's chemical fertiliser." And they kind of slowly started to eat their dinner again. But it's kind of there's an icky taboo around actually touching our blood or having contact with it. And I think using natural pads really helps us just break through that, because we're touching it, and we take them out, and I put them, I sit on the toilet and I fill the sink next to me with cold water, and I put them in and I sit there, and then I wash it out. And again, like you, I have no desire to be hand washing stuff for like hours or even half an hour. I soak them and I give them a wash, and then I put them in the washing machine with everything else, and it becomes a very normal, actually, internal cycle of self-care and connection with the earth. And I mean, so many things that I think we can only discover when we actually do it.
Yeah.
But so we've talked a bit about like what it can offer. I think the questions that I get asked when women are starting to use them or thinking about using them are, what do you do when you're out? Really practical stuff. So I'd love to now take us through a journey of a kind of day of when we're bleeding. I mean, I tend to stay in, but a lot of people want to go out as well. But a journey of a day of a woman who has maybe got a job and goes out and does other things, of how we can use our natural pads and make it work for us.
Sure. Well, I did have a proper job at one point in my life, and I still use cloth pads. I was in my power suit working for the civil service.
Wow.
So yeah, I would have a little old makeup bag or a wash bag with my clean pads in, and I would take them to work with me. Now I'm quite light, so I actually rarely need to change a pad while I'm out, but if I did, I'd take my bag into the cubicle, I'd take my dirty pad off, put it in the bag, put the clean one on, take it home and wash it. It's really, really simple. Even my daughter would wear her cloth pads for school. She didn't at first. We had a deal where she used the organic natural care ones, and she'd use them at night. But when she felt confident enough and was sure that the boys weren't going to look in her bag and see what was in there.
Of course, because they do.
Yes, they do, yeah. She just did the same thing. And actually, I do have someone now who makes bags for me. So half of it has got, I should have brought one to show you. Half the bag is lined with waterproof liner, so that's for your used ones, and then the other half is cotton for your clean ones, and you just put them in there, and it's a really pretty little bag, and people would just think you were going to the toilet with your makeup bag. They wouldn't have a clue what was in there. So really easy. So then when you get home, put it in some cold water, give it a soak so it doesn't stain, and then pop it in the washing machine in the morning with the rest of your clothes. It doesn't have to be a big chore.
Okay, and I think when I talked to you last time, and something that I do as well, is when you think about soaking them. I mean, I live with my partner and we've been together a year now, so I fill the sink, and the sink's kind of, there's pads in, there's blood in, and he goes in and I know he washes his hands in the bath, and he comes out and he says, "Oh, my darling's bleeding," and he kisses me on the head, and it's very beautiful that he completely accepts that. But we might have housemates, we might have people that maybe aren't so compassionate, and I think you use like a little plastic bucket or something to soak them in.
Some people who've got kids may already have nappy buckets. You can use one of those. You can buy in like the pound shops, you can get those little bins that have a lid. So they're perfect. I've actually got an old olive jar that I use, which is quite big. But I just used to bung mine in the sink until my son became a teenager, and then he started saying, "Mum, my friends are coming round, can you move your pads, please?" So yeah, you do have to be thoughtful. I also lived in a shared house once with my housemate who also used cloth pads, and her partner cleaned my pads for me thinking they were hers, which was so sweet, and he was actually really lovely about it when I thanked him for washing my pads.
Very sweet.
It was. Well, it was sweet that he would wash her pads for her, but that he washed mine thinking they were hers.
Yeah, so, bless him.
But it's also, I think, for me, it's about educating people. So, and not hiding them again. I mean, okay, yeah, if you're living with one woman in a house of blokes, then maybe they don't want to see it. But, this is where women open up and talk. Because we had a talking circle recently with our mums from our girls' lodge, and we all talked about the products we used and how we clean them and all that kind of stuff. And it was really interesting for the women who'd never used maybe a cup or a sponge or a pad to hear other women talking about how they manage them in their day and how they wash them. And
then it kind of, I think that opens it up and makes it kind of possible. And she does it, and they do it, and Oh, I think I could manage that. I could soak it in a bucket and just put it in the washing machine. It's nice and easy. And also, last time I talked to you, you gave me a great tip, which I'm now kind of experimenting with. You said to add essential oil to the soak water. And I've been adding eucalyptus. Now I add tea tree, and it actually, the whole house starts to smell of these essential oils. We've got a small flat. Whilst I'm soaking my pads, and it's become something else. Then it's like, oh, I'm soaking my pads. I can smell tea tree everywhere. But yeah, could you say a little bit about how the essential oils can help, and different ones that you use?
Okay, well, I think I started looking into it when I was getting emails from women asking about stains and natural stain removers. So eucalyptus oil, I didn't know this, but found out, is a natural stain remover. So, and tea tree oil, of course, kills any bacteria. I mean, some women are a bit uptight about things being dirty. I got interviewed by a magazine a few years ago, and they were just like, oh my God, isn't our blood full of germs? And I was just like, no, there's nothing dirty or germy about it. But if it sits around in a bucket for 3 or 4 days, it's going to start getting a bit whiffy. So you do want to rinse the water out each day, and putting some oils in there. You can put lavender or geranium as well to make it smell nice. Okay. But if you're wanting to use them for sanitizing and getting rid of stains, then tea tree and eucalyptus are great.
Yeah, I think I've got a bit.
And you can also stick the washing machine.
And you can also.
Sorry,
it's okay.
You could just put the drops in the washing machine as well when you pop them in the washing machine.
Ah, yeah, and the little, like, the softener.
Yeah.
Compartment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think I put a bit too much tea tree oil in last time. I got a bit overzealous with it, and the next time I used my pads, I just felt like, whoa, that feels very zingy. What's going on? I thought, I've put too much tea tree oil in. But it certainly felt very alive, let's just say. Yeah. But yeah. So we've gone through. So if you're out, and we've gone through soaking them, and can you give us an idea of, say we've got an average flow, that means maybe we need to use, if we're using a plastic pad, then maybe we change it, we use 5 in a day.
Okay.
So would the equivalent be more or less of cotton pads?
I would imagine less, because you'll find you bleed less. Yeah. And the thing with cotton pads, I have got some I can show you.
Please do.
Is that you really feel how much you're bleeding. So I'll give you a couple. So these are the completely organic ones, so they're plain, and that's organic fabric on the back. You can't get organic fleecy fabric, which is such a shame, but so they're plain on top. And this is the cheeky monkeys.
I've got those.
So what's inside your pad are 2 of these inserts. So one pad comes with 2 inserts. Now each insert is 4 layers of fabric. So that's 8 layers of fabric plus the top and the bottom of your pad, 10 layers of fabric. That's a lot of fabric to absorb. And the way pads absorb is it doesn't just go in the middle, it kind of spreads.
Yeah.
So I found they tend to last longer than the disposables for me. Okay. I mean, it completely depends on how heavy your flow is and all that kind of thing. And like we've said, a lot of women find that they get lighter when they use cloth. So I've got different sets on the website. I mean, I advise a set of about 5 pads and a panty liner should be enough. I mean, it also depends on how often you want to wash them. You know, for me, I tend to wear 1 in the day, 1 at night, and then I soak. You know, I've got 2 that I'm soaking and drying, and then you've got a couple more spare. So, I mean, you know, if you want to use them all and wash them all at once, then you might need more. But if you're happy to kind of rinse them through and wash them as you go, you can get away with using less. I've got a starter set as well, which is just 2 pads and 1 panty liner, just for women who just want to try them out and see how they feel before investing quite a lot of money in buying a whole big set. Yeah. So I'll show you how they work. They've got poppers on the back, So like the disposable winged ones, they just pop around your knickers and then you put your inserts in. Now, if you are very heavy, I do have toweling inserts as well and hem inserts. So, you know, that's 2 inserts going in the back there, but I could put another 2 hemp or toweling ones in and bulk it up, especially at night time when you might be heavier. And they don't, I mean, that's got 4 inserts in. It's, you know, you can see the thickness. I wear these with my leggings going to yoga. Nobody goes, oh, look at her with her pad on. Nobody notices. So, you know, they don't, they might feel different at first to the kind of ultra thin disposables. They take a bit of getting used to, but I find them much more comfortable. And like I said, they're not sweaty. And I don't feel like I've got this huge brick in my knickers, which, to be honest, the first disposable pad my mum ever gave me was one of those massive belted things that was this thick, and I was just like, oh my god, they're not like that.
I had a similar experience. I was a bit, my mum didn't have a belted one, but I didn't have a starter pack or anything. I started my period and I was so happy to see the blood, because I was about 14 and a half, you know. All the other girls at school were like, oh, my period. And I was going, yeah, mine too. Where is it? You know. And I remember starting, and I went to get, I can't remember the brand at the time, but I put it on and it came up the front and it went round the back, and it was like a brick. And I can remember looking in the mirror thinking, the boys are just going to go wild at this, because I can't go to school. And I spent the whole next 3 days like with my arms by my sides and my bag draped around my butt so that nobody could see. I mean, they probably couldn't anyway, but it's just such a big thing when you've had nothing. And I think I mean, obviously I use the natural pads and the cheeky monkeys actually, and I have one day where I'm heavier and I use 3 liners, and I just find it so comfortable because it is fabric. It kind of moulds to your body shape and it doesn't sweat. And sure, I know it's in there, I don't forget it's there, but I like it because I can feel when there's enough blood in there that I need to change my pad. And I think that's really cool because it makes me give attention to how much I'm bleeding.
Yeah.
And it draws my attention down to my womb and yoni area, which actually helps the flow quicker, and it softens everything. So yeah, great point to make on the fact that they do feel a bit different, but they're very comfortable and nobody sees them. And I also wanted to make the point, somebody asked me, our blood doesn't smell. I mean, it's got a slight smell to it, you know, it's not completely neutral, but it's only going to smell if you leave your pad in for 12 hours or something, you know. 4 or 5 hours or 2 hours there's no smell, it's not dirty. Actually, as babies we are nourished with that blood. There's no germs or anything. It's not stuff that the body needs to get rid of, like someone said, like a bowel movement. It's not like that. So it's beautiful. Some women drink it as well. I choose not to, but you know. So I think that's a really great point. Thanks for the demonstration. So we've covered cleaning them, using them, their benefits. Is there anything else you think we could kind of cover so that women can feel really, actually this is accessible for me and every woman really?
I don't know, it's just that knowing that they are.
Yeah.
So many women I come across kind of say, oh, I'm past that time in my life now, but I wish I'd known about them. I've got lots of Facebook friends that are in the menopause who still share all my posts because they really want other women to be aware of these products and to use them. So like doing something like this YouTube video is brilliant because it's just about getting the word out there, and for women who use them already to be confident to tell their friends about them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, one of the other things that comes up for me, when I do stalls and things, women talk about hanging them on the washing line. They're too embarrassed to even hang them on the washing line. And do you know what? If you've never seen a cloth pad, you've got no idea what it is hanging on the washing line. No one would know what they were. So I always say, don't worry about it. Who looks at you washing that closely? And no one's going to know what they are, you know. So it's kind of dispelling all those little fears that women.
Yeah.
It could be a hanky, it could be anything, you know. People just don't. Yeah, they don't. I don't think people look that closely at each other's washing lines.
I don't think so. I mean, a hanky with press studs, I think we can leave it there. But an idea I had actually, if women are thinking of trying them and are, you know, kind of feel that pull, but maybe don't want to even buy the starter set, what you can do is just. I mean, I was in Laos in Asia, and I'd only got 3 cloth pads, and it wasn't time to kind of wash them and dry them, so I started cutting my towel up, and I just folded my towel up, and you know, that was really, really comfy. So for those women who want to try it but don't even want to buy anything, you can just cut a bit of towel up or roll up a face flannel and stuff and see how it feels, and see if you do bleed a bit less that day, and see if you feel any more connected with your cycle. So I think it's nice and easy. Yeah. However, Rachel has some awesome designs, really pretty, and you know, when I've ordered a couple of sets from you, and I do the whole kind of wash them as I go thing, so I think the perception is you need about 20, like you have a pack of Always or something, but I've got about 8, and I wash them as I go and with the tea tree oil, and it's really lovely. So yeah, you just don't need many to give it a go and start off with, really.
No, exactly.
Any final top tips, Rachel?
Top tips, I guess, just to try.
Yeah.
For women who've never tried it, you know, even trying panty liner, you know, because I think that's one of the other things that when I looked at how many disposables women throw away, they're actually throwing away more than they ever used to, because a lot of women are using panty liners all month long. Really? So, you know, to catch discharge and everything. So, you know, if you're thinking about it and you just want to try something, get a panty liner to start with, you know, cloth panty liner. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, it's always an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I always learn something when I talk to you, Rachel. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. I've been making notes as I go, like, oh, no, I didn't think of that one, and because I'm going to write up a few things below this and put it into a post in the Sacred Womb, so that people can have a look at your website as well. And I know you post to the UK and Europe, and your Etsy store you post to the States.
Yeah. Okay. And if things on one side not on the other, and you'd like to order it, you can send me a personal email, and I can put together custom orders for people if they want. Brilliant.
And I also wanted to let people know that you've got make your own sets on your site as well, so you can sew your own.
Yeah, all the bits are in there. As long as you can sew, you can make your own pads. Yeah, I'm really going to try with that. I'm really going to try. My friend's got a sewing machine, so I'll be ordering some of those soon. And we're like, we can do it. We're not really sewers, but we can do it. So I'll let you know how that goes, and I'll post pictures for people as well. So thank you so much for giving your time and such great information so freely. And thank you so much, Rach. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks, Mel. Thanks for having me. It's been lovely.
And I'll see you. I think we can do this again. We can expand on another area, maybe. Yeah, okay.
I'm sure. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.